Hello everyone, welcome to what I can only describe as a disaster report. I decided to take on my first Affinity mission since I thought I'd better get started on building up those relationships, and I relied on my strategy guide to pick one that was suitable for my level and experience. Well, I got into a right old pickle, which I shall explain. I finished chapter 3, as you remember from the last video, and checked the requirements for moving on to chapter 4. Not too bad. I had completed the 2 required missions early on. They were pretty easy, but there were 2 sticking points. One was the survey of Primordia, which I struggled to reach 15% for. And the second point was that I had started the Affinity mission, and once you start that, you have to finish it before you can go on to the next chapter story mission. So this video is the story of how I cleared this Affinity mission, and the next video will be how I managed to get the 15% survey coverage. Both the story missions, that's the chapters, and the Affinity missions tend to have a requirement for certain party members to be kept at all times in your team. So you can see how that would easily clash if you have 2 different missions with different party member requirements. I think that's why they have this particular restriction in place. Maybe that is one aspect of the game that ties you down a bit too much, makes it too restrictive. However, I had to knuckle down and obviously work within those parameters, so my priority was to try and finish that Affinity quest. However, I learned the hard way with this one that it really pays to check your Affinity quest very carefully before locking it down. So what are these affinities anyway? Let's have a look at the chart. Here you see you can check both character info and your affinity level with other characters in quite a lot of detail. I really like the way they did that. It gives you an idea of all the strands, like a huge spider's web that links people together. A real sense of humanity in New LA having all these networks and relationships that are vitally important for their lives and for the development of the city. Player affinity is a different way of looking at the network, with me, the protagonist, at the center, a true spider's web radiating out, and I can see everybody I have had contact with who in one way or another is recruitable, and I can check their stats and everything, work out if I want to maybe include them in my party for a particular mission. You can meet other players standing around at the quest boards. They are online players, or you meet players out in the field, or just walking around New LA. It's absolutely amazing, the relationships, the types and the numbers you can form. So this is the Affinity mission I took on earlier when I had cleared level 13. I had completed chapter 3, I had achieved 1 heart with Lynn, and the required members, Elma and Lynn, were ready. There were only 3 steps to clear the mission. Talk to Bart at the West Gate, easy. Number 2 was the only real job, gather 3 power cables in Starfall Basin, and I don't recall I had any particular problems. You learn to sneak around high-level enemies. You use the environment like rock outcrops and vegetation to hide so they don't spot you. And after that, you return to talk to Bart And that should be the mission cleared, right? Piece of cake? Well, the devil is in the detail. Have a look at that final question and answer. There are 2 possible answers, and the second one says, insist that you should fix the problem for good. And that was the snag, as you will see.
Oh, sorry. I'll whip something up here real quick.
He's right, Lynn. You seem a little off today.
No, I'm fine. It's just... we detected a transmission loss in the Industrial District energy system.
You repaired that before, right? How much of a loss?
It crossed 5% yesterday.
That sounds well within safety tolerances.
Yeah, it is. It's not that so much. It's just... the upgrades I installed should be working better than that. It should have been a year till we detected any loss whatsoever.
Ah, so it's a mechanic's pride, is it? Sounds like a worthy mission. Why don't we go run some diagnostics?
Right.
But dinner!
And here it is, our mission, the repair job. Fix an electrical fault. Should be easy enough for Lynn, eh? Oh, beware the repair job. Okay, we're ready. What could go wrong? You see, Tatsu has snuck in. He always likes to join when Lynn is in the party. Tatsu is in the party. You see him bobbing with excitement. So here we are outside the West Gate on the plains. And obviously we will want to find Bart. The location is only given as West Gate, so that leaves quite a wide area to figure out where he might be. So my first thought was, he must be just inside the gate. I only see one other person there, Piers, so I decide to go inside, and surprise, surprise, I don't know whether I hadn't just been through that gate at that point before, but it's another landmark, and you know we need those. What to do now? Well, if in doubt, try and talk to people. You might get some information, I think. So I decide to talk with Piers.
Yo! Here's what I know.
And he may not have the information I'm after, but I do find out something interesting anyway by talking to him, and that just reinforces how important it is to always check what people have to say. He mentions having a look at the map, and I'm thinking, duh, that's a good idea. I mean, we've got a brilliant map on the gamepad. The turquoise spot there is the location, but I need to zoom in a bit. I know I checked and there's nobody on the ground level there, so it finally occurs to me that there's a staircase structure there, and he might be up the staircase. Woo! So around we go, and just by the side of the gate, we remember there's the staircase. Not all NPCs you can talk to. A few of them just stand around, but there are so many of them. I'm just checking my mission details. You should always have your active mission at the top there. It helps an awful lot with pointers on the map, etc. So I'm calling the elevator now to go up further. So another climb, It shouldn't be too far now. Aha! And there we have the big exclamation mark.
No, haven't noticed any transmission loss in the energy system recently.
But it's in the readings. Please, you have to check one more time.
Jargon flies over a very short head of Tatsu.
NLA used to be the residential area of a spaceship. We're standing in what was the outer wall. Since we no longer need positional thrusters, we rerouted that energy elsewhere. Now it travels from the main... Basically, it's leaking. Lynn patched it up, but it's still leaking a little bit.
Ah, Tatsu knows all about leaking. Now Tatsu get it.
What is it? Ah, I guess it's been a while since you've seen Lynn fix things instead of shoot them. Surprised? She started out as a full-time engineer, actually. Combat came later. I'm afraid we pushed her into it, but Blade needed the help. Back on the White Whale, Lynn was a key part of the engineering team. During the crash, she stayed with the engines until the very last moment. Despite her age, no one can question her skill or dedication. If she says something's wrong with the system here, there is.
I finally pinned it down. It's a problem with the replacement part.
The one you installed before?
Right. Turns out it was made here in New LA. Unfortunately, the quality doesn't match the Earth-made parts we had on the White Whale.
I suppose it makes sense that it wouldn't.
But if we're lucky, a usable part may have landed somewhere in Starfall Basin.
If Lily says so, then Team Tatsu will go. Sooner friends fix leak, sooner Tatsu can eat.
Well, you all heard him. Guess we better get a move on.
Time to set off for Starfall Basin. And here we are, it's night time. You can see the repair job is listed there in the menu on the right hand side with the details of what we need to find. But you also notice the crucial word there is gather. It is not an enemy drop, which would be easier to locate. Just checking, always make sure you've got it set as your navigation target. We basically have to forage, and the mini-map will not show us any of the locations where that might be. We need to find those diamonds with the required items. So basically we need to do a lot of running around, and wouldn't you know it, this field action actually resulted in us getting one of the power cables, L002. I don't want to go further ahead because the enemies there are level 19, which is a bit higher than my current team level. So I continue looking around, foraging. And yay, I get another power cable. And all we get for our trouble is an insect wing. You see how several of my team members were either down or had depleted HP. Well, once the fight is over and you just stand around for a moment, it all recovers. And here I pick up a space analyzer and a melon. I'm still looking for one more power cable. There's a diamond. Could I be lucky? Oh no, it's just a reward ticket. This could be another field treasure? Yes, I'm hopeful. Yay! Power cable. We've got all three. Yippee. Let's get back to Bart. Yep, all the way up the staircase again. There he is. Let's bring him the good tidings.
We found the part. I'll swap it in right now.
Unreal! The loss is so low I can't even get a reading.
Dinner time!
You really are a wizard, Lynn.
This will work for the time being, but is it enough?
Huh?
That part will eventually wear out, and then we'll be back to square one. I think it's too soon to consider this problem fixed.
But not too soon for dinner, right? Tatsu, fading. See? Bright light.
I understand your concern, Lynn, but I think Tatsu's at his limit. What do you think?
Now this is the crucial decision. I should have heeded Alma's advice about Tatsu being at the limit.
But there's a limit to parts from the white whale. Once they're gone, that's it.
Exactly. This problem won't go away until we can manufacture better parts in New LA.
That would certainly make my life easier anytime something needs replacing.
What's kept us from doing that until now?
It's a resource issue, ma'am. Procuring proper materials on Mira has been harder than scavenging white whale parts. 3, in particular, are extremely scarce.
But if we found them, it'd make future maintenance a lot easier, right? So yeah, maybe it has been too hard. But now Team Elma is on the case.
Your plan does make a lot of sense. All right then, let's go finish what we started.
Yes, friends, go. But after dinner?
Sorry, Tatsu. This is really important to me. But if you help out, I promise to fix you a feast.
Feast? For Tatsu? Tatsu agree. Friends must find thingy that can help do stuff better. Hurry now. Go Team Tatsu.
Of course I couldn't leave a task half undone. That's just not me. I had to pick persist. So just wait until you see the requirements for persisting with the task, because as you remember when I showed you the mission details from the strategy guide, there was no mention of anything else beyond this decision. So I had no idea what I was about to face. So let's have a look at the requirements for the second part of this mission, the repair job. Here they are, and again, 2 tasks are relatively straightforward, but the one called use frontier nav to gather 5 white comatites had me completely nonplussed. I had never come across that particular mineral, and my strategy guide was absolutely no help in trying to figure out how to approach this, because of course this part of the mission was not covered. That's when I realized that online resources are still the best. After an awful lot, many hours of running around trying to find new probes that might yield this mineral, I finally consulted websites that specialize in Xenoblade Chronicles, and I quickly found the required information. We also need 2 energy tubes. I didn't feel like going out fighting Pujas, so I used a different method. Perfectly legal. I just got the item using my reward tickets. That's what they're there for. Now have a look. We need to scroll through all these items. Man, there are a lot. You just scroll and scroll. This game is crazy about items and equipment and gear and just stuff. And there it is, energy tube, only 22 tickets. I can easily afford that. That gives me the second tube I need. Bingo. The last item, the cruise deflector in Oblivia, well, it was easy enough to pop back in there and just quickly get one. Easy to pick up.
Everything I heard about you guys is true.
These will mean a nice boost in our manufacturing quality, right?
Absolutely. Now we'll never have to hunt for old parts again.
For white chromatite, there are only a few probe sites in Primordia that will yield that mineral, and they're all quite tricky to get to. Once it's set up, you then have to wait for the mineral.
Another day, another step. Slowly but surely, we're building a sustainable future for ourselves on this planet. And it's all thanks to the dedication of people like you, Lynn.
With the support of some very patient indigenous peoples, of course.
Dance? Oh, too hungry to dance.
All right, now it's time to build a sustainable future for Tatsu's stomach.
Woohoo! Lily put spring into Tatsu's step. Dance of sustainable joy.
There we are. Final tally. What a palaver. When I started out on this mission, I was about at level 16 or 17, I think. By the time I finished, I was at level 20. That tells you I did a lot of running around and fighting as well, trying to do all these jobs, as well as achieve the 15% coverage for Primordia. Nice, a skill for Lynn. And hearts all round. Woot! See the notice popping up on the left about the amount of Moranium and the Frontier Nav revenue that has come in. Always good to keep an eye on that so that you know when you can invest some more or use it for some other purpose. There is nothing quite like the night sky over New LA. We're going down to ground level again. So let's have one final conversation for today with Bernat, which will give us some insight into the moral dilemma humans are facing on Mira. We'll inquire about the recently discovered xenoforms. You mean those prone? I hear they have blade blood on their hands. Depending on what happens, we may need to go to war with their kind. How ironic. We drop in on this planet uninvited, and now we might be the ones invading another world. It's awful when you think about it, but if that's the way it's gotta be, then that's the way it's gotta be. Because Mira is all we have left. Even if they tell us to get the hell off their planet, where else would we go? We gotta fight to keep Mira. So I ended up in the commercial district and I just wanted to go home, and look, there's a transport pilot. Well, I thought, why not go home in style? What game would bother with a fancy detail like that, eh? We're back at the Blade Tower. Mission accomplished. Thank you very much for watching. As always, please keep well. I'll see you next time.